Coming in Facebook, coming in YouTube, getting ready to start my show, Jimmy Rants. And it is the day of the week when we have you ask whatever questions you want to ask. So I've got a great show in store for you here today. Some really neat stories to talk about at the very beginning. I also have a couple of really good questions that came in ahead of time, but I definitely want to get your guys' questions. Hello, Norma. Hello, Tracy. Thank you guys for being on Facebook. Hello, Shirley over on YouTube. Thank you guys for being here. We need to get started with my show, Jimmy Rants. And I have a special guest who showed up behind me today. You want to come on the camera? Come here, weirdo. This is my Peaches. Hello, Peaches. You want to be on Jimmy Rants today? Watch how I do this on Instagram. It's Ask Me Anything, and my cat Peaches is going to answer all of your questions about all of life's mysteries. JimmyRants.com is the website. Click on that little button down there in the corner. It'll take you straight to IGTV for today's episode. Okay, I'm gonna let her down. She's the one that sheds so much hair. Where was I? JimmyRants.com is the website, and as always, you can engage live in the content, but you got to go follow me right here on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, Livin. My nose is itching from all that cat hair. LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, engage live. We are here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right here for Jimmy Rants here on Instagram Live. We also simulcast over here on my Facebook page where people like Hank and Kira and Scott all just popped in to say hello. We also have my YouTubers over there on the YouTube stream. Thank you all for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live here on Instagram, then be sure to watch it on replay on IGTV. That's where it will be housed. As soon as this is over, we pop it right up on IGTV, so you'll be able to see it there. We also put the past episodes up over on YouTube. Just type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. And then finally, you can go over to JimmyRants.com. That's the official website for this show, and get all of the videos are there as well. And then if you want to support the show, we have a very special Patreon link that you can definitely support us. Sorry, my nose is still itching from holding Peaches. She is a shedding cat, and so my nose goes haywire around her. And so go support the Patreon, and we have some really exclusive links up. Next week's podcasts on Living La Vida Low Carb Show and Real Talk are up on my Patreon page now in video form. So you can go watch those as a Patreon Jimmy Moore fan. And see those right now. Dr. Kate Shanahan is one of them, and then Chris Wiley is the other one. So Kate talks about her new book and how bad seed oils are for your health. Chris is a mind transformation specialist, and so I got him to talk about how we can handle some of the stresses of our day. So go watch those right now if you are a Patreon member. And again, that link is at JimmyRants.com. Okay, you guys, it is Friday, and you know what that means. On Fridays, I have a special episode that I call Ask Me Anything. This is literally the one day of the week where if you have a question that is not about what I'm talking about, then I address it on today's show. It's always a fun show for me because I never know what questions you guys are going to ask me. So get your questions ready. Go ahead and start typing them down there. And when the time comes, I will come to you. So I can talk about keto, I can talk about cholesterol, I can talk about fasting, podcasting, book writing, social media, maybe business advice, and really anything you want to ask about me. This is your day to ask those kinds of questions. So yeah, fire away. And when the time comes, we will come to Instagram, then Facebook, and then YouTube. So go ahead and get those questions ready. But first, as always, I have a few little quick topics that are always fun to talk about. Not enough for a full Jimmy Rants, but enough that I want to talk about them. This first one was printed in USA Today yesterday. Defeat COVID-19 by requiring Vaccinations for all. It's not un-American, it's actually patriotic. I'm not kidding you, that's what the guy wrote. Dr. Michael Letterman is a professor of medicine at Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine. He teamed up with Maxwell Melman, a professor of law at Case Western, as well as Dr. Stuart Youngner, a professor of bioethics at Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine. So these Case Western guys decided, you know what? We know there's a lot of anti-vaccine sentiment out there, and we're going to make the case that not just a few people need to be vaccinated, everybody does. When an effective vaccine is available, it will only defeat the pandemic if it's widely used to create herd immunity. It's important to note during an epidemic, there's no threshold above which protection conferred by herd immunity cannot be improved. In other words, the more people we infect with this virus vis-a-vis a vaccine, the better off we'll be. Thus, the more who get immunized, the lower the risk for all, including those who were not vaccinated. So they basically want to make vaccinations free and accessible for everyone. They only want to exempt those with a medical contraindication to an immunization. It's likely more than one vaccine platform will prove effective. And so as a result, medical conditions that prohibit it will be extremely rare. They will not honor any religious exemptions. The major religions, they say in this article, do not officially oppose vaccinations, and they do not allow objections for personal preference that you just don't want it, and so you don't have a choice, according to them. Remember, this was written by a medical doctor, a professor of medicine, a law professor, and a bioethics professor. Guys, these are probably the kinds of arguments and people that are going to be making arguments about why we all need to be vaccinated. So just be aware of this, that this kind of thing is out there. And here's the ramifications. If you do not get vaccinated, they're going to document you and put you on a registry of immunization with names entered after it's completed. Adequate immunizations may require more than a single dose, and the durability of protection by different vaccines may vary and may not be lifelong, which will require you to do a booster shot. Thus, immunized persons will need to receive expiration date certification cards, which should be issued to all immunized in the country, whether you're an illegal alien or not. These measures may seem draconian and costly, but ensuring universal vaccination is a negligible sacrifice compared with all the costs, deaths, and social upheaval that a sustained pandemic is having on our country. Oh, there's a lot I could have said about that one, but I'm just going to leave it there, and I wanted to provide you this information about this USA Today article from yesterday. I did have another corona-related one, and then I've got a few studies here. The CDC has warned that youth are dying of suicide and overdose throughout this pandemic. Whether you realize it or not, suicide and overdosing on drugs has just been a horrible, horrible consequence of the stress of all this. And even Robert Redfield, the director of the CDC, has found that it is killing a lot of young people. He said, we're seeing, sadly, far greater suicides and drug overdoses above the excess that we had before COVID-19. He believes the increase in these is attributed to the shutdown of schools and the lack of resources due to the disaster, because schools provide mental health services, food, socialization, mandating reporting of abuse. Many students have lost access to all of this and are now facing declines in their mental health. Some are stuck in toxic environments where they're around domestic, substance, or sexual abuse. It's the uncertainty that creates this stress. You can't make plans or know the future. Can I just say something, that the fact that these kids have to get all of this help from a school system, that's part of the problem. I think we don't need to have the schools be about all of those things I just listed. Schools should be about education. There need to be other kind of oversights or something that would provide all these other services. I'm concerned that the onus is put on the schools, and now that we see what happens when the schools aren't there anymore for these kids, there's heavy ramifications, and it's sad to hear many of them are killing themselves. Okay, I got a couple of interesting studies that you might want to know about. Energy intake and satiety response of eggs for breakfast in overweight and obese adults. It's a crossover study. This was published in the International Journal of Environmental Resolution Public Health. Trying to see if it gave me the name of the study authors. It does not here. I think this is one of our, no, this was from Australia. Here it is, University of South Australia. So what they did was they looked at people eating eggs and compared it to those who eat cereal with milk and orange juice. 50 overweight or obese participants' energy intake following the egg breakfast was significantly reduced compared to those who ate cereal. The sensation of hunger was less after the egg breakfast. No effects of gender or age. Energy intake reduced ad libitum, lunch 4 hours after a breakfast meal with eggs. The findings suggest that satiety response of overweight and obese are no different than those who are non-obese. Determining which foods may help overweight and obese individuals manage food intake is important for diet planning. This was an important study because it's showing the efficacy of a reduction in carbohydrates and an increase in fat and protein, providing satiety, which will in the end up being less energy intake, and thus you lose weight. So that was a really exciting study. This is also a good study. Reversal of severe hypertriglyceridemia, that is high triglycerides, with intermittent fasting and a very low carbohydrate ketogenic diet. And this one, they had 2 patients who demonstrated substantial reductions in their triglycerides, effectively reversing severe high triglycerides using unconventional dietary methods. It is a case study of 2. These cases point, though, to a critical lack of flexibility in the current dietary guidelines that hinder application in clinical practice. So they wanted to show, okay, the diet you have people to eat vis-a-vis the dietary guidelines for Americans, that diet is raising people's triglycerides. And what we're telling you is we're able to, through intermittent fasting and a ketogenic diet, lower triglycerides like a champ. The only question is how many doctors are even paying attention to triglycerides. Most of them don't really pay much attention to them at all. Here's another study. A 28-day carbohydrate restricted diet improves markers of cardiovascular disease in firefighters. And this one has a whole bunch of different people in it, but it was a 28-day carbohydrate restricted diet. And what they wanted to do was look at a bunch of markers: insulin, human growth hormone, cortisol, C-reactive protein, lipids, glucose. They ran the gamut of all these different kinds of things to test. And what they found was a 4-week study of this particular intervention can favorably improve markers of cardiovascular health. So yet another winner chicken dinner for carbohydrate restriction in your health. 2 more, you guys, and then we'll get to you guys' questions. So again, if you just joined us, this is Ask Me Anything. So get your questions ready, type them down there, and when the time comes, I will get to your questions. Oakland University, have you heard about what they're doing? They're going to require residents on campus to wear something called a Biobutton to track your health. But students have launched a petition against this. It's wearable technology. They want to see who has COVID-19 symptoms. They're going to require this Biobutton in residence halls when students return to campus in a couple weeks. The Biobutton is wearable that monitors all your vitals, including your current body temperature, your heart rate, all in real time. It can last for up to 90 days. It's meant to be worn on your chest and connects to your mobile device. They're trying to lower the outbreak of COVID-19. But a group of Oakland University students have launched a petition against this. A large portion of students feel this is a violation of privacy, and some students have stated their rejections of this idea come from their religious standpoint. Moreover, the new idea was not mentioned, but instead put further into a website for individuals to stumble across. So they didn't even tell the kids about this. They were just going to implement it when they got back on campus. Okay, put this on, and it would have been a shock. The petition has had more than 2,000 signatures. The university is also advising the Biobutton to be worn by faculty, staff, and students who will be on campus regularly. So that's going to be interesting to watch if this Biobutton catches on, and how many other people, how many other kind of campuses, and even like non-educational institutions may start doing that. Now that's a little bit different than the COVID-19 tracking on your phone that you might have noticed. This one here, it's going to be an actual device that will strap across your chest that will be able to see what your heart rate is doing and see what your body temperature is doing. I don't know how many people would consent to that. Would you? Would you consent to that? I don't know. And finally, Kraft Macaroni and Cheese has now released a breakfast box. And so it seems a lot of kids have been living the dream recently. 56% of parents telling Kraft they're serving it in the morning more than they ever have. So during quarantine, moms had said, well, I don't have anything else to make. How about some mac and cheese for breakfast, kids? Yeah! So Kraft is going to play along, and they have created a breakfast box. And so I saw that and I went, okay, as if we don't have enough crap garbage in the morning time, now we have to have macaroni and cheese for breakfast. And yes, macaroni and cheese used to be my favorite when I was a kid. I loved macaroni and cheese to death, but I think we can come up with some better options than macaroni and cheese for breakfast. All right, guys, I'm going to come to you guys soon. I'm going to hit the questions that came in ahead of time on Instagram. So let's hit those first, and then we'll come to you guys. All right. This one, what is your advice for someone who is high risk, non-metabolically related going forward with COVID-19 vis-a-vis the vaccine? I'm not going to pretend like I'm going to give medical advice. I'm not an immunologist. I don't have any expertise in that area. High risk, non-metabolically related. I don't know what that means, but just in general, I think anybody that feels like they're in a compromised position with COVID-19, you do all the things. And I think you're the ones that, if we just isolated the people who feel the most fear about this, because you know something about your health could put you in danger if you get COVID-19, then it's just smart for you guys to isolate, and have people check in on you and all that jazz. But that's what I would say, is do all the things. Eat real food, get sunshine, get fresh air, move, take appropriate supplementation. I take very high dose vitamin D. I know a lot of people are taking zinc and some other little supplements, and just do healthy activities, healthy modalities for your own health. And if you do that, then you're probably going to put yourself in the best position. Eventually you are going to get COVID-19, and when you do, hopefully your immune system can fight it off. Now, about the vaccine, that's going to be a personal choice unless it's mandated on all of us. There is a call. That very first article I read was all about mandating, making it compulsory that you take the vaccine. I hope it doesn't come to that, but if you have the choice, that will be something you have to take into consideration. I will tell you, some of the early trials of the Moderna vaccine have not been good. A lot of these people getting sick. It has not shown great efficacy. It's multiple doses. It's a very high dose of the virus. People aren't doing well. And so I'd be highly concerned about this rushed vaccine personally. But again, that's something every individual is going to have to take up for themselves. But thank you for that question. This next one, how has life been transitioning back to life? I assume you mean post-sabbatical, because I did go on 6-month sabbatical from September through the end of February. Being back on social media and all the changes at home. So really, when I came back, it was like riding a bicycle. I popped right back on the bicycle again, started doing all the work, and then COVID-19 hit, and I shifted a little bit from there. So the work itself, doing interviews, I now have this Jimmy Rants set I did not have before I left. I'm doing all of my podcast interviews from this set, along with all the Jimmy Rants. And in work mode, I know what I'm doing. I love what I do. And so that's kind of been the respite from some of the chaos that's been in my life. I will say some of the changes at home have been difficult. It's been a challenging year for me, to the point that I'm considering backing away for a little while again. Still airing my podcast, but maybe I don't do Jimmy Rants anymore. I'm not making that decision here today. I'm just saying that I have been under an immense amount of stress, and I don't know really what to do about that right now because it's been really difficult. You know, people go through stuff in their lives all the time, and so most people just don't even pay attention to the stress that's happening to them until it turns into something bad. And then when it's something bad, they have to deal with it. But I'm recognizing it now, even before something bad would necessarily happen. So it's still kind of a work in progress about what's happening there. So I'll let you know, obviously, but it has been a difficult year for me. How long does it take for your mitochondria to grow so you won't be tired on keto? Well, I don't necessarily think it's always a mitochondrial thing that you're tired on keto. Sometimes you're tired on keto because you aren't fueling enough. It's a very common thing that when you start eating a ketogenic diet that you undereat because it's so satiating, it tastes so good, you're full so fast, and you're so satiated that you don't have to eat again, that people undereat calories. Well, when you undereat, what that does is it lowers your energy intake. And so when you have less energy intake, guess what? You're going to be tired and you're going to have issues. You could also be tired because your electrolytes are out of balance. So make sure you're getting adequate amounts of salt, potassium, magnesium, and you may have some kind of underlying condition that may be getting some blood work done would be able to, you'd be able to check in on. And so if you can do that, I would get all those things checked. But I hope you're not tired much longer, but it is not an inevitability. And the last one, on keto, how long does it take for skin tags to go away? So, as I mentioned, I believe I mentioned this recently on Jimmy Rants, skin tags are a manifestation of insulin resistance. And so when you have those skin tags on your body, and I have them on my body, it is an outward growth that is a sign of insulin resistance. So how long does it take for them to go away is the wrong question. Because if someone has significant insulin resistance, it could be years. If someone has a light level of insulin resistance and a skin tag just popped up for the first time, if you start reducing carbs and getting into ketosis, those will probably go away very quickly. So if you got them, just keep at your keto, keep being vigilant about it, and eventually those do fall off. I have had ones be on my body, go away, but then they come back in another place. So that does happen. Just be patient with yourself. Realize it's more than a food thing as well. Stress will actually bring those back on because it increases your insulin resistance. There's so many things impacting insulin resistance besides food. And so I would look at the totality of everything you're doing, not just in your diet, but in your lifestyle as well. But thank you for all those questions. And now, guys, it is your turn. We're going to come over here to Instagram first with your questions, then over to Facebook, finally over to YouTube. Ask Me Anything is what this is. So ask away. Welcome in, welcome in. JimmyRants.com is the website. Dolly Mommy says, I don't want any altered genetic material in my body. Yeah, I mean, that's the concern with these vaccines. What is in them? They're not really telling us a lot. We've heard things like aborted babies are in there. We've heard microchips are in there. We've heard all kinds of things going to be in this. But the biggest thing you need to be concerned about in that vaccine is COVID-19 is in there. Now, obviously, it has to be in there so you build antibodies, and that's what a vaccine is, in theory, supposed to do. But what's happened is people get vaccines. They don't want to talk about this aspect of vaccines. People get sick. And right now in the Moderna trials, 20% of the people are having significant effects, negative effects. That's too many. In a population of 330 million people taking a vaccine, if all 330 take it, and 20%, that is a huge amount of people. We're talking 66 million people that will have an adverse effect. Do we want to overrun the hospitals with people having vaccine sickness? No, we don't. But that's exactly what will happen. Dolly Mommy also says people who have a lot of T cells can fight off COVID-19. Yeah, I did a whole Jimmy rant on that about 3 weeks ago. Sergio says, what natural methods would you recommend to help a 5-year-old with a mild condition of sensory processing issues? Again, I'm not a doctor, and I don't pretend to have any knowledge about specifics of pediatric care. So let me bow out of that one. I can give you general, natural ways to provide healing and help, but I don't want to specifically address the question because I'm not a medical professional. I think anything, we know the role of ketosis in a lot of brain health types of issues, neurodegenerative types of issues, which sensory processing would be a part of. I would look at the epilepsy diet. So the epilepsy diet is more than just ketogenic. Epilepsy diet is pretty hardcore, where you're getting extraordinarily high levels of fat to the level of probably 90% of the intake from fat. And then the rest is carbohydrate and protein, mostly protein. So 90% fat, 8 to 9% protein, and extremely limited in carbohydrate. And that has been found for epilepsy and a lot of like neurodegenerative types of diseases to be very therapeutic. So that could be something you could try. Obviously for brain health as well, krill oil is a very powerful supplement that you could take. It is not just fish oil. Krill oil is specifically for brain health. Really anything that would boost brain power would definitely be helpful in general for these kinds of situations. Thank you for that question. All right, thank you, Instagram. Let me pop over here now to my Facebook page. What's up, Facebook? Thanks for being here today on Jimmy Rants. See what you got. Hank says, what's your go-to egg recipe? Yes, scrambled, cooked in, like here's how I do it. Now I know, Hank, you live in the South too. So there's this thing called country scrambled. So what I do is I put some Kerrygold butter in the skillet, and I kind of, spread it all around in the bottom. Then I crack the eggs open and I let them kind of cook for a second so the whites start to get cooked. Then I scramble it in the pan with a fork. So you get kind of like a mix of white and the yellow, and it makes this creamy, gooiness with the butter and everything. Then I overlay some mozzarella cheese on top of that. That's the cheese I like. I know some people like cheddar, others don't like any cheese, so pick your poison. But for me, I put mozzarella cheese. Then I turn off the eye. Again, the eggs were kind of like soft scrambled at that point. Put the cheese on top, turn off the eye, and leave it for about 15 minutes. When I come back, the cheese is completely melted. I add salt and ranch seasoning, by the way, from Select Savory Seasonings in there. Redmond's Real Salt for the salt. And I just kind of shake the pan, maybe like get the edges and everything, shake the pan, and then I slowly fold it over so it looks like this nice little omelet look, and I put it in the plate. And then sometimes I will eat that with some of the Primal Mayo or the Alterna Sweets ketchup. So that's how I eat the eggs. I eat a lot of eggs right now because money is pretty tight. And so we're trying to conserve every bit of money I can. And I got 17 beautiful birds back there pooping me out breakfast every day. So I do eat a lot of eggs. I had a bunch this morning. So it's kind of my go-to right now. Tracy wants to know what the best laying chickens are. I'll tell you, the ones that I like the best are the leghorns. So they're usually white. Leghorns are. They are hilarious when they run compared to the others. Some of the other ones are funny too. Buff Orpingtons are like big yellow birds, and they are hilarious when they run whack whack waddle waddle whack whack waddle waddle. But the leghorns, they run fast, and they're usually a little bit skinnier, and their legs go a little bit longer. So yeah, I like them because they make bigger eggs. They lay consistent eggs as well. I almost always get eggs from them, and they're the big white eggs. I get a bunch of brown eggs, and then the Americanas lay green eggs. And so I like the ones from the Leghorns because number one, I always get big, beautiful, extra large eggs from them. And the yolk is usually very, very orange, and it's beautiful, obviously. And it's consistent. I get a lot of them. So that's the one I would choose if you were trying to get some good laying chickens. I also have Rhode Island Reds as well, and they lay consistent, smaller eggs and brown, but they do lay consistent. Tracy says, are they going to be able to force a vaccine on us? This has been worrying me. I have no idea, Tracy. I know there are legal people involved that said, well, if it's about public health, you could be forced to take a vaccine. I don't know if that would hold up in court. There's no way they would force this on people until the Supreme Court had a chance to examine the case. Like, there's no way. I can't see that happening, but I also couldn't have seen all the things happening in 2020 before 2020. So who knows? I have no idea. Kira wants to know, what's the important ratio related to LDL, triglycerides, and HDL? I'm so confused on what to track and what my ratio should be. Can I make it simple for you? LDL doesn't really tell you a whole lot. And so to put it in any kind of ratio is silly. There's another one called HDL to total cholesterol as a ratio. And again, that one's not very helpful because the LDL is a part of the total cholesterol and the LDL is incomplete because it's only a calculated number. The one that scientists are using more and more is the triglyceride to HDL ratio. So you take your triglycerides, you divide it by your HDL, and that gives you a number that is your ratio between those two. The ratio should be below 1. So let's say your HDL cholesterol is 70 and your triglycerides are 70. That is exactly a 1.0 ratio, and that is perfect. Anything under 3 is good, but absolutely optimal. You're looking for under 1. Doctors will look at LDL cholesterol. Some doctors will look at HDL to total cholesterol. But really the best marker that most researchers are looking at right now is triglyceride to HDL ratio. I hope that helps you out. Hank says, I'm getting hungry. Yeah, dude, go make you some eggs. All right, let me pop over here to my YouTube channel. What's up, YouTube? Good morning from Dallas, says Bill. Good morning from Vero Beach, says Debbie. Got all my peoples in the house. Craig says, what's the best comeback to everything in moderation argument? I've been asking what daily moderate amount of liquor is appropriate for an alcoholic as my response. That's a great one. See, here's the thing. We don't tell alcoholics to drink in moderation. We don't tell cocaine addicts to shoot up in moderation. Why? Because that's the very thing they're addicted to. And so for those people who say, oh, you can have a little bit of carbs in moderation, that's when you say, well, wait a minute, I have an addiction to carbohydrate. And so if I have an addiction to it, how is it any different than the drugs and alcohol? It's not. In fact, I would argue sugar is as addictive a substance as anything on the planet. I said as much in the Meat RX interview. It's now on YouTube, by the way. If you, Dr. Sean Baker recently had me on his show about a week ago, and they just posted it to YouTube yesterday. So go watch that on YouTube. But yeah, there's so many ways you can go with that. How much cyanide do we eat in moderation? How much rat poison do we eat in moderation? Moderation is a convenient way to let you eat anything you want and never change your habits. So for those people who say, well, it's okay, just eat a balanced diet and eat it in moderation, there's no amount of sugar that I'll ever need. There's no amount of fast food that I'll ever need. And you could just say, you know what? I'm going to eat to satiety, things that make me feel good and things that taste good. And so they can make their choices and eat in moderation, and then you could see who does better on which protocol as the years go by. But thank you for that question. Shirley says, I had a question that popped into my head the other day as I was trying to go to sleep, but I didn't write it down. Now I forgot. Yeah. You need to talk to your phone and say, hey, will you remind me to ask Jimmy on Friday? Bill says, way back in March, I predicted suicide rates would increase with closures and 24/7 terrible news. Yes, sure did. It sure did. Harpsy wants me to talk about zinc. Take it. Zinc is so critical in your immune system. This is why the protocol of hydroxychloroquine with zinc is such a powerful combination. Most Americans, 90% of Americans, are deficient in zinc. I just had a hair analysis done that I'll be sharing more about real soon. And in that hair analysis, my zinc levels weren't bad, but they were below what they need to be, just like everybody else. So zinc deficiency is a major problem, and I think it's contributing to why a lot of people are dealing with COVID-19. I saw a statistic the other day, something like 98% of people who have had the worst of the worst symptoms and sadly died from COVID-19, 98% of them were deficient in vitamin D. So we're seeing how these micronutrients actually play such a huge role in people and their health. In fact, if you want to learn about micronutrients, I wrote a book about it called Real Food Keto. Got real deep into the science of micronutrition, especially within the context of a ketogenic diet. You don't automatically always get all the micronutrients you need unless you're deliberate about it. So zinc is definitely one of those. So highly recommend you take zinc supplementation. Gherkin says, I have switched my exercise from machine-based to intuitive, forces me to listen to my body, a time calorie total on a screen, walking and swimming, battle ropes, TRX, and weights. That's awesome. Sounds fun. Benjamin says, what do you think of Dan Quibble's bacon experiment? Kind of like your egg fast years ago, except with bacon. Yeah, I love Dan, and I think he's definitely onto something. Mike says, my triglycerides are 60, my HDL 41. How do I bring that HDL up? The main thing, there is no drug that will raise HDL cholesterol. They've been working on one. They have tried for years to work on a drug that will raise HDL. Nothing raises HDL better than saturated fat. So you got to include saturated fat in your diet, and it comes up. You know, and it takes time. Like, think about it. People say, well, it takes me forever to get my HDL to come up. Yes, but you also have to deal with some of the damage that's been done from your past nutrition choices. Just be patient. It'll get there. Women, I will tell you, women have an easier time raising their HDL. There's definitely a hormonal aspect to that in the woman's body. They need more HDL. So typically you'll see women in the 90s and 100s when they go keto, whereas guys struggle to get to like 60, 70. So just be patient, eat lots of saturated fat, and you'll get there. All right, thank you, YouTube. Let me come back over here to my Instagram channel, see if you guys have any new questions for me. Lena says, never thought about the ranch spices in eggs. Sounds good. Yeah, eggs, you could do all kind of things with eggs. So the ranch spices, and again, I get those from Select Savory Seasonings. It's basically ranch dressing without the cream part. And of course, the commercial ones have soybean oil in them, so I don't want that. But it mixes well. But one little trick that I usually do when I want something a little creamier in the pan is I also use cream cheese. So cream cheese with eggs, if you've never mixed cream cheese in to scrambled eggs, you have not lived yet. I'm promising you, if this has never been on your radar screen before, I want you to cook eggs and scramble them with some cream cheese. Just cut up little bits of cream cheese and mix it all around, and it's gonna rock your world. So really, really good stuff. I want you to watch this, please. What am I watching, Melissa? So guys, you guys are out of questions, and I still have 20 minutes left, so rock on. Bring me some more questions. What else you want to know? So I will tell you, I have been frustrated this year because when I came back from sabbatical, my intention was hit the ground running and have lots of ideas to talk about. I was going to focus on childhood trauma for a little while, and then COVID hit, and then everything else has hit, and it's just been a really weird year. And I am going through a very difficult personal experience right now that is not going to be resolved for a little bit. It's been a long waiting process that I've been going through with this issue, and we're coming up to the end of the waiting, and then there's an indefinite amount of time after that before everything is resolved. It's been tough on me, and I'm just being purely blunt honest with you, that there have been days that I'm just like, I just don't want to get up in the morning and do this anymore. And it's not anything more than I'm just dealing with a lot of stress. And then of course, COVID has created new stresses because a lot of the sponsors went away. So we created the Patreon to try to see, okay, who wants to engage in the work? And that's had a few people join, so I'm grateful for that, but not nearly enough. And so if you have it in your heart and you like what I do and you want me to keep going, I really need your support. If you'll go to jimmyrants.com and click on the Patreon. I'm trying to provide good content there. I am working on trying to do some exclusive stuff and exclusive Jimmy Rants just for you guys that support the work. But it's been pretty tough this year, and it has been for a lot of people. I'm not pretending like that I'm the only one that's gone through some issues this year. People have lost their jobs. People have lost family members to COVID-19, the loss of our humanity somewhat, not getting to be involved with social stuff. It's hard on all of us, so I'm not pretending like I'm the only one going through some things, but 2020 was going to be tough whether COVID-19 hit or not, but then when it did, it's just made it that much worse. And I'm just being raw with you guys that this has been a really, really tough year. But I'm trudging forward with it. All right, here's another question that came in. Where do you purchase your vitamins and supplements? So it depends on what the vitamin and supplement is. I think you can get some things at like a traditional GNC vitamin shop, that kind of place. You can get a lot of good things there. But sometimes you're gonna have to go to specialty types of stores online to get the quality that you need. And that's the problem with supplements. You can't just say I want a vitamin supplement and just randomly buy one off the shelf. The ones at Walmart, for example, like fish oil. If you buy fish oil from Walmart and it's not in a refrigerated section, you can almost bet that it's rancid and it's not going to do you any good. So you have to be careful about that. So look for pharmaceutical grade, that's what you're looking for, and targeted to your needs. Sometimes people just take this shotgun approach of, let me just take a bunch of vitamins and I hope something good happens. I want you to know, okay, if you're taking vitamin D, are you doing it because you're deficient? Are you taking iron because you know you're deficient? If you're not deficient in something, you don't necessarily need to be taking it. And plus, if you're eating a nutrient-dense diet, maybe you're getting some of the vitamins that way that you don't need to double up by also taking a supplement. So there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts to your question there, but in general, try to find the highest quality version as you can. Should I retake a lipid panel test and not fast as long, says Kira. I'm normally 18/6 intermittent fast, and I fasted 17 hours when I gave blood, triglycerides 120, HDL 51. Yeah, that's not surprising. When you fast for that long, Kira, your body has already kicked in trying to keep you going, assuming, okay, dummy up there forgot to feed me. So if you're gonna go for a lipid panel and you gotta go in fasted, don't make it more than 12 hours, 12 hours max. And we know from Dave Feldman's work that if you're going to go into to get a cholesterol panel run, you want to eat an extraordinary amount of fat 3 days leading up to the test. Why? Because that will fill your fat cells or your fat requirements in your body so that the cholesterol actually ends up lowering in your body. And he's replicated this many times where you just ramp up the fat 3 days before, and then you go take the test, and your cholesterol isn't this astronomically high number. But when you fast like you've been doing, even like a 17-hour fast before you gave the blood, your body's already going into releasing various forms of fat into your blood, and in this case it was triglycerides, and it's completely normal. That's what the body does. It's adapting to you not giving it food. So it's got those things as stores that it just releases into your bloodstream. It's another reason why you don't test your blood sugar right after you exercise. People freak out about that too. They test their blood sugar. Oh my God, 156, what the heck is going on? I eat keto. How is it 156? Well, the context is the body did the adaptive processes while you were working out, and one of those is raising your blood sugar. Well, if you don't let all that calm down, of course it's going to be very high when you test. So hope that helps you out. Terry says, awful year for many people, very tough. Yeah, it's been tough on a lot of levels. The isolation, the seclusion, the lack of social events. Quite frankly, I miss hugging people. I am a hugger, and I haven't been able to hug one single person this year. That's hard. And yeah. And I've lost a lot of friends that I've had, and so yeah, it's been an interesting year. Terry wants to know, what are your feelings on eating mostly organ meats like Paul Saladino? I think organ meats are incredible. It's nature's vitamin. I think if you want to get the best kind of bioavailable vitamins for your body, you get them from foods, and you get it from organ meats. I personally have a little bit of trouble with like eating straight up liver and some of the other things. I have had other organ meats. I've had beef heart, I've had brain, I've had lots of different kinds of organ meats. But it's not something you naturally eat. And plus it's not something you just go down to the store and buy. So it's a little harder to come by. And especially when it's like something like the liver, you don't want it from just any old animal. You want it from a grass-fed animal. And so it's more difficult. I will tell you, I supplement, Paleo Valley has a complete kind of organ complex. And it's got liver and heart and brain. It's got all kinds of things in it as a freeze-dried complex. And you take like 4 or 5 of them, and you get all of that that you need. So that's how I get it in, Paul, and there's even a movement online of people eating, not just eating those organ meats, but eating them raw. And I'm going, but more power to you if you can do that. So my fasting before a lipid panel test got me that you need to be on statins discussion. Of course it did. But Kira, here's the thing. Your triglycerides are 120. A statin doesn't move trigs. It doesn't. Statins don't touch triglycerides at all. They're not even intended to do anything other than to lower inflammation. But we even know that even some of those effects, they're now, I saw a commercial the other day when I was watching the golf, and the commercial came on, and it was about this new drug for your cholesterol, and it said, when statins don't work anymore. I'm like, what? Like, I thought they were the holy grail when it came to lowering your cholesterol and improving your heart health. That's what they told us. Now they're telling us statins aren't enough. Now we need this other newfangled drug that's going to make them billions of dollars. So take that with a grain of salt. I certainly hope for your doctor you told him about this book, Cholesterol Clarity, what the HDL is wrong with my numbers. Because in chapter 10, I talk about why doctors are so clueless about cholesterol, and they are. I don't know what's going to change that with doctors, but they're stuck on stupid with that one. All right, let's see if there's any more over here. Any type of zinc to avoid? I will reread Real Food Keto. Type of zinc to avoid? No, not that I know of. I think it's time for you to change your game plan. Whatever you're doing is not working. Well, thank you, Samuel. I appreciate the encouragement. I got to tell you, this is something else that has come up today. I went on Sean Baker's Meet RX YouTube channel. It's on there today. Go watch it. But the ugliness that has come out of the people who have been extraordinarily judgmental towards me, can I tell you, I'm over it. I don't have to explain myself to anybody, okay? You can judge me till the midnight sun comes, and I don't care. Because at the end of the day, all that matters, and the only person's opinion of me that matters, is Jimmy Moore. And Jimmy Moore is pretty fucking proud of himself, okay? I refuse to be bullied by people who have small everything, and I'm just not going to take it anymore, okay? I don't like the ugliness that 2020 has been, but this is a special kind of ugly that I've dealt with for many years. And quite frankly, it's disgusting. It's repulsive. People get their kicks and jollies out of seeing someone else that has done extraordinary in their health. This is the thing that gets me, and I'm going to go on a rant because this is Jimmy Rants. This is what gets me about the health community. It is so judgy if you're a guy and you don't have six-pack abs. It's so judgy if you're a girl and you don't have a big old ass and toned and all the things. I'm so sick of that culture when it comes to the online health world. Like, are you guys just as sick of that? And this idiot over here on YouTube is trying to ruin what is a perfectly good lifestyle. Yes, I still have weight on the body. I have not hidden. I come on camera every single day. Like, let's stop pretending like I'm hiding. There's a lot of people that hide behind little fake usernames all the time. I don't hide. I put my name out there. I put my mug on camera every day. I am being very vocal. Like, the thing that's missing in this conversation, I did not mean to get on this part of the rant, but it's a rant. This is Jimmy Rants. The thing that I think is missing in this discussion is when you put the totality of someone's health and value and worth on what they look like on the outside, you invalidate all the hard work it took for them to be healthy and vibrant and mental acuity and mood calm and all of the things on the inside. I'm just so over that we have to be so aesthetic in how we look at health. Stop looking at the outside and pretending like it says anything about the inside. Seriously. Like, this pisses me off to no end. And people like this asshole over here on YouTube, you think you know me. I'm not 410 pounds anymore. I no longer have to deal with high cholesterol medication, high blood pressure medication, or breathing medication. I don't take any drugs. And I will run mental circles around you all day, every day. I guarantee you. And I have quick wit, sharp brain, okay? I would not trade that for nothing. So you can look at me on the outside and say, well, whatever you're doing ain't working. Well, fuck you. Fuck you. And yes, excuse my language if you've got kids watching this, but I'm tired of that kind of bullshit. This is what drives good people away. You want to know why Butter Bob is no longer online? It's that right there. That right there. And that's uncalled for. And I don't think any good people online need to put up with that anymore. We don't. And I have been abused heavier than probably most people online. And there is no way you're going to ever scare me away. You know what you do is you get me more motivated to not give up, more motivated to keep educating. They would love nothing more than for me to go away. And I won't give them that privilege. Nope. Can't do it. I was going to go away, but you just convinced me, Samuel. Samuel Lopez, thank you so much. You're the reason Jimmy Moore ain't going anywhere. God bless. Harpsy says calf liver and codfish is milder in taste. I like cod liver cloud bread sandwich. Oh, that's cool. I didn't plan on doing that rant like that, so I just get so upset, guys. Like I've been a public figure a very long time, and I don't. If I hid, I could see that kind of criticism. But I'm on camera every day. Okay, yeah, my neck jiggles a little bit when I talk. Great, great. It is what it is. I think you're intelligent enough to know, okay, he's working on himself, but he's got a whole lot of knowledge in the midst of still working on himself. People like Samuel would prefer people like me shut up. So if everybody that is allowed to talk about health can only talk about health when they have an Adonis body, how many people are going to talk about health? And look at all that pressure you put on people when you do all that. It's nonsense to me. And I've never understood that. And I've gotten that from day one. After I lost 180 pounds in 2004, I get online, I start blogging, and people see pictures of me and they're like, you still look horrible. And I'm like, really? I went from 410 to 230 and you think I look horrible because I don't have this perfection look that you expect? Guess what? I look a lot more like people trying to be healthy than those people do. This is why people like me, because they relate to me. I don't try to sell you something. In fact, I'm not making any money right now. So I'm not selling you anything except information. I'm trying to provide information. And you invalidate that person's grit, that person's stick-to-itiveness, that person's intelligence, when you just say, well, you're fat, so you have nothing good to say. Well, I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I would much rather look at someone who I feel like I relate to than to basically feel like I'm being marketed to. And most of the health community, they're just in it to market to you. Yeah, I got books. I don't sit there and shove them in your face, but I do have books and people buy them. I don't need to peddle them to provide information to you. Not everybody in this community can say that. I'm trying to breathe because that worked me up. Haters gonna hate. They do, Susie, but you know, I've dealt with that for so long. It's not so much that I get that still. It's that it's no recognition of the good that has happened. It's no recognition of what has been overcome. Here's a factoid everybody forgets about Jimmy Moore. I'm 15 years into this, 16 if you look at when I started. I have lost over 100 pounds, and I have kept 100+ pounds off my body for 15 years. All the while improving triglycerides, lowering inflammation, lowering insulin, lowering blood sugar, lowering all of the markers, increasing HDL cholesterol, improving health, improving brain health, calming mood, having lots of energy, lots of fasting, not having to eat as often. Like, all of those things, are they for naught because I still have weight on the body? Like, are we seriously at that point? I thought we grew up enough as a community by now that is a non sequitur now. It is. It's why I'm so over it. And you get the judgmental people. And there was a bunch more like Samuel over on the Meat RX Instagram page. Go look at it, guys. My interview is up over there. Meat RX Official over on Instagram. And there's some of the ugliest people mocking me and saying so many bad things about me. And I'm like, you know what? I am not ashamed of me. I'm pretty awesome. And I don't say that smugly. I just say that to say, I don't need your judgment to tell me how bad I'm supposed to feel. Okay, here we go. I feel bad. Now what? Like, what's the end goal of that kind of thing? It shouldn't be anything but uplifting and applauding and encouraging someone who's doing something about their health. Can we get over that in the health community already? That, okay, he's not an Adonis, but dang, he knows a lot. He's not an Adonis, but dang, he's the most consistent person to provide information online. He's really knowledgeable about things. I want to listen to what he has to say. Okay, he doesn't look like this Adonis that everybody expects, but darn well you learn something. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. I'm out of time, you guys. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, you can engage live in the content, but you got to go follow me over on Instagram. I am at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. I got a little more real here today than I expected. So go follow me there, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. We also simulcast on Facebook and YouTube. Watch the replay over here on IGTV as well as over on YouTube. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants, you'll find the show. Finally, pop on over to JimmyRants.com. Click on the Patreon link. You can support me. If you want me to go on a little rant like that one again, support me with the Patreon link. And guys, that's it. Enjoy your weekend. I will be back. Sorry, Samuel, but I will be back on Monday with more Jimmy Rants. See ya. All right. And like a little wuss, I'm sure Samuel ran away after I started calling him out publicly. See, this is the thing too. Sometimes these people, they hide behind their username and then they make a comment like that and then they run away. For the life of me, I don't understand those kinds of people. Kay says, I bought a copy of Cholesterol Clarity for my doctor. Yeah, I wish I could get this through to my doctor. He would never listen. But you try to do your best. Kira says, you're awesome. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Kira. Be proud. You're a good, humble person. People are evil and cruel. They are, Terry. Kay says, I'm like you, still overweight, but feel better. Same weight for the last 2 years. No interest at all in being small and skinny. No, my goal is not small and skinny. I want to live to be 100. I want this brain to stay sharp. Like, I love being quick-witted. I love being able to like assimilate information. Like, you can't come on camera if your brain doesn't work well. I know some people, they come on camera and they're just like deer in headlights. No, I'm not that way. And so, is that invalid? To Samuel, it is. Block and ban. Yeah, I do a lot of that, Kay. I do block and delete quite a bit, unfortunately. I don't want to do that, but you have to for your own mental health sake. Deborah says, great response. Thank you for that. What's the deal with ionic supplements when they're liquid? Is that better to take over supplements, over tablets when taking vitamins? Yeah, I like liquid supplementation because it's absorbed faster. So that's the theory, compared to tablets where your metabolism has to break it down, then it gets absorbed. So it's just the absorption rate is the only difference. All right, let's see if Samuel, the little wuss, came back. Samuel, you still here? People who have shed of knowledge and common sense know you're doing great and know what you're talking about. Thank you. Doc Connector says data shows body fat increases survivability for major illness. Yeah. Okay, Samuel did not go away. I'm not mocking you. I'm just seeing what's obvious in front of me and everyone else. If it's so fucking obvious, and your point is, like, that's the point here, dude. I don't get your point. You don't come on someone's live and say some bullshit like you just did without trying to make them feel bad. Like, what's the end game? Are you trying to shame me into doing better? Like, somebody told me on the Meet RX thing, they were like, well, maybe he'll figure out the right way someday. I'm like, but what about the health markers? The health markers are immaculate. I'm so over people like you, Samuel. You are a cancer to the health community. Okay? Like, this is what I don't understand. How you can think that what you said was not an asshole move. Josie says, well, for one, I'm encouraged by you and listen every day. Thanks for what you do. Thank you for that. Skinny's not the be-all, end-all. No, it is not. Strong, healthy, strong brain health, and live long. And if I happen to have extra weight on the body, so be it. Yep. That's the way it is. All right, guys, let me get off of here. I have an interview in 55 minutes with Lone Star Keto Girl on her show. So she's going to have me on her podcast. Sorry, Samuel. It looks like other people want to hear what I have to say despite my fat on my body. So there's a lot of bad advice being spread online to people who don't know any better, and I think it's a horrible thing. Samuel, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. But are you saying that I'm the one giving bad advice? And if I'm giving bad advice, give me a specific example of some kind of a bad advice that I have given online, and I'm happy to have that discussion. Coming onto my live and making bold proclamations about how everything I say is invalidated simply because I have weight on my body is stupid. Even you would admit that's stupid. Now, if you're talking about what you've read online and what you've seen online about me, there is this common meme that's put out there that Jimmy Moore encourages people to eat sticks of butter. I have never, ever, ever encouraged people to eat sticks of butter. Didn't do it. And yet that somehow became a meme. And so people come to me, why do you recommend people eat whole sticks of butter? I don't. Oh, but the meme does. Okay, but why don't you come? And I'm glad you're here, Samuel. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad you're here because you're at least hearing it from the horse's mouth himself. Stick around. Watch more Jimmy Rants. Listen to what I say. If I say something that's not right, then call me out. Let's have the conversation. But don't make your assumptions about me just because of what you see right in front of you, as you said earlier. Let's have the conversation. You can't have a logical, meaningful conversation if you're just going to label me whatever you think I am. All right, I'm going to get off of here for now, you guys. Thank you so much for being here, Facebook. We'll see you again soon. Samuel, got anything else to say, my brother? Because if you do, I'm all here. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you tucked tail and acted like nothing was wrong. I'm going to give you about one more minute to respond. Thank you guys for being here today, by the way, on my YouTube Live. I do not like getting that worked up, but sometimes you gotta. Samuel, you lit a fire in me today, brother, because I was gonna quit today. I was gonna absolutely stop doing Jimmy Rants. I didn't say that on the air, on those, but I was just about to quit. So you came in at just the right time. Good job. If you wanted me to go away, you almost got your wish, but then you had to be an asshole and open your fucking mouth. Nothing? You ain't got nothing else to say? Wow. That doesn't surprise me, brother. Next time, you might want to figure out who you're talking to first before you come on their live, because this will not end well for you. You didn't motivate anybody. You were an asshole. You need to rethink your life. You do. All right, YouTube family, thanks for being here today. We'll be back again.